Where are my buttons?
Is it all lowercase?
Yeah. Zoom. It's recording now. Right.
How do you
So
see
you zoom in, zoom out. Size.
What's that? Yes.
What's this one?
Right now,
Leave it alone.
I've set my side. Yeah, I'm just going to do the first one.
Okay. I got this. Okay. So we might get some crowd shots here before we start.
Because she won't hear.
He was a good friend of mine for a decade. I know. It's a lot of chickens out there. Yeah. You got a bunch of goats.
Just when I saw you, I instantly thought, wait a minute, he could have been here. He could have told us about the tank was rolling in there.
I know Justin once he gets going. Yeah, it would be great.
I'd like to see you if you two could have been there. I'm going to think about that for next year.
Knowing Justin's nursery take a while to get there.
Well, when I see him again, I'll tell him that's all you are.
Please do. I miss seeing him. That's why I wanted to go out of town. We were going steak.
Well, he's not that far away. You're not that far away.
I'm in Farmington now. So no, it's fine. I'm just standing here. I'm frozen in your personal space.
I'm glad you had a wonderful vacation.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you are. Sorry.
From which end are you coming from? From there to there? Or there to there?
To those things.
I don't see how we're at, so get out of the way from me.
Okay. Do you want to move the whole thing, or shall I skirt around the camera?
I'll move it.
Okay.
Yeah, you are.
So it's after the, I don't remember, the song stack of the band. In the back. It's after a song towards the end. I should probably know what song it's after because you're not moving. Columbia to the demo though.
Alright, guys, from where
So I know. I'll be I have a costume change. I'll start from the back. So I'm buying some new walk around back.
Whistle, who's that?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our 34th annual Gala celebration of the anniversary of our nation's independence. We're going to start with a few introductory remarks from a public health official, Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Since the Mobleys were so gracious to have me here 1 year ago today, there have been many challenges and changes. Last year I came with my 6-foot distance pole, if you remember. But through it all, I have always tried to follow the science. As you can see, it can be extremely difficult to follow the science. It keeps changing.
Even science has difficulty here. We just didn't practice the quick change stuff ahead of time there. This is what we call the slow change artistry. I think with all that, you guys get the idea of what might have happened. The science indeed does keep changing. So now it's time to officially start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's sing My Country 'Tis of Thee. And now the father of our country, General George Washington.
Labor to keep alive in your breast that little spark of celestial fire called conscience. Human happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected.
That's the strains of Yankee Doodle. Let's sing it. So next I'd like to share a poem with you from Walt Whitman. I don't have much singing voice today, but the name of the poem is I Hear America Singing, from the days when America was a nation of makers and doers. I hear America singing, the varied carols I hear,
those of mechanics, each one singing his as it should be, lithe and strong. The carpenter singing his as he measures his plank or beam. The mason singing his as he makes ready for work or leaves off work. The boatman singing what belongs to him in his boat. The deckhand singing on the steamboat deck. The shoemaker singing as he sits on his bench. The hatter singing as he stands. The woodcutter's song. The plowboy's on his way in the morning, or at noon intermission, or at sundown. The delicious singing of the mother, or of the young wife at work, or of the girls sewing or washing, each singing what belongs to him or her, and to none else. The day, what belongs to the day. At night, the party of young fellows, robust, friendly, singing with open mouths their strong, melodious songs. You may recall that this is Missouri's bicentennial. Our official date of entry is in August, but there were several other dates where we almost entered. A lot of confusion, a lot of controversy about whether we'd come in as slave or free. And when I was a kid, we learned the Missouri Compromise. It was very simple: one slave state, one free state. You actually read the history, my goodness, it's a wonder they ever got in at all. There was, multiple bills and amendments and rejections and back and forth, and that's way oversimplified. But anyway, it is our bicentennial. We made it. And a fellow named Arthur Marshall, ragtime composer, protege of Scott Joplin, wrote a song called Missouri Romp, which Mrs. Mobley picked out for me because it's about Missouri and it's the Missouri bicentennial. And I'm going to struggle through part of it. As our real pianist returns to the stage, let's sing the battle cry of freedom. Okay, so next from the Civil War era, you may recall the song Shenandoah, the movie Shenandoah, and yes, there's also a Broadway play, Shenandoah. And from that play, Josh Pemberton is going to sing The Only Home I Know. He'll be followed by Mark Twain.
The willow tree I used to climb may bend a little more. The paint may all be peeling off the front porch and the door. No matter what, I'm heading back and whistling as I go. For better or for worse, it's still the only home I know. The garden Mama used to tend may now be overgrown. Our friends and neighbors moved away to distant parts unknown. It could be no one's waiting there to smile and say hello. But still my heart is yearning for the only home I know. The memories I left behind may all have turned to dust. A penny in a wishing well, copper turned to rust. I can't remember why I left or what I hope to find. I only know that more and more I'm back there in my mind. A fireplace, a gentle face, a warm and friendly glow. Please let it be the way it was, the only home I know. The only home
So next we have a visit honoring Missouri's bicentennial, Missouri's most famous author, writer of what is arguably the great American novel, Huckleberry Finn, among many other things, Roughing It, The Innocents Abroad, Tom Sawyer. I'd like to welcome Samuel Langhorne Clemens, better known as Mark Twain.
Civilization. The van leader of civilization is never the steamboat, never the railroad, never the newspaper, never the Sabbath school, never the missionary, but always whiskey. I hope you don't mind if I smoke. I really don't see any harm in it. As long as there's no children present. I only started to smoke when I was 9 years old. Clothes make the man. Naked people have little or no influence over society. Dear Mr. Carnegie, I see by the papers that you are very prosperous. I would like to buy a hymn book. It is $2. I will bless you, God will bless you, and it will make a great deal of good. Truly yours, Mark Twain. P.S. Don't send me the hymn book, send me the $2. It ain't the parts of the Bible that I can't understand that bother me. It's the parts that I can understand.
Get your facts.
Get your facts first, then you can distort them as you please. It's better to keep your mouth shut and appear stupid than open it and remove all doubt.
Of course, it would not be right for Samuel Clemens to make a speech without one more famous Missourian in this bicentennial, particularly when it's his sister who wants to say something. And so now we have a quote from another famous literary poet from Missouri. You'll know who it is.
All I want to do is have some fun until the sun comes up on Santa Monica Boulevard. I want to soak up the sun and tell everyone to lighten up.
That certainly was appropriate. I'm glad she was here. In spirit, for sure. So here's an interesting thing. If you read Carl Sandburg's biography of Lincoln, it appears he liked to dance to the tune Skip to My Lou. I personally had a very difficult time learning to skip when I was a kid. I was really behind the class in that. But if I had had Alex playing the harmonica for me, maybe I would have learned it faster. So, Alex?
Play the harmonica, Alex?
Yes,
You know how to play it?
kind of.
You've been playing it long?
About a week.
Okay, we're hoping for the best. The harmonica is a great American instrument, not invented here, but it's the sort of thing you can carry around in your pocket. And that's, on the frontier, that was a great thing. When Lincoln went to the Lincoln-Douglas debates, Senator Douglas ascended the stage accompanied by a brass band. Lincoln got on the stage, and he pulled a harmonica out of his pocket, and he said, "I can't afford a brass band, all I can afford is a harmonica." Okay. I don't know if you could hear that or not. I won't repeat it. So we're going to do a song here, Alex, that is, it's a square dance song, Skip to My Lou. And on the frontier, the young men and women and the boys and girls would square dance to this very simple song. Well, a lot of you know that, most of you know this. All you needed was a fiddle and a banjo and a harmonica, and you had a party. And so now Alex is going to play the harmonica, and I'll do a bad job of singing. Are you ready? Yeah. Give us a tone here. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Skip, skip, skip to my loo, skip, skip, skip to my loo, skip, skip, skip to my loo, skip to my loo, my darling. Fly in the buttermilk shoe, fly shoe, fly in the buttermilk shoe, fly shoe, fly in the buttermilk shoe, fly shoe, skip to the loo, my darling. Off to Texas 2x2, off to Texas 2x2, off to Texas 2x2, skip to the loo, my darling. Skip, skip, skip to the loo, skip, skip, skip to my loo, skip, skip, skip to my loo, skip to my loo, my darling.
It's come to my attention that I failed to have us sing the Battle Hymn of the Republic. I'm out of order, but it's not too late. up. Evidently Henry thought we had to make up some time there. So I'm raising the microphone up again because soon we'll be hearing from our great President Abraham Lincoln. And it's important that you're here, or that you've been here at least once in the past 33 years, because if the contestants on Jeopardy had been here at least once in the last 33 years, on the June 2nd show, you wouldn't have all three of them be completely clueless about this phrase. So here's the clue. $800, double Jeopardy. The clue read, government of the people, by the people, for the people, is from the end of this brief and powerful speech. And all three of them sat there dumbfounded, scratching their heads, mouths open, looking stupid. And they're stupid, they're just uneducated. The product of the modern American education system, which we are supplementing here today as we welcome President Abraham Lincoln.
I like that hat.
All right. Welcome. Is that close enough?
Oh.
Okay, is that better? Welcome. Okay. As Everett said, we've done this for, I don't know, he said 33 years, I think.
This is 34.
34, okay.
Today.
What does the Gettysburg Address have to do with Independence Day anyway? Well, it does. Today, most Americans, as Everett says, most Americans only know the name Gettysburg, and it has no meaning for them than any other American town name. But in the Civil War in 1863, Confederate General Lee intended to invade Pennsylvania in the north, wheel to the right, and slam down from the north on the Union capital of Washington. Confederate success at Gettysburg would mean an end to the war in a couple of weeks, with the Union suing for a truce on Confederate terms. General Lee, Meade, and the Union generals and President Lincoln knew this in their hearts as it happened. On July 1 through 3 of 1863, Lee's Confederate Army engaged the Union Army at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. On July 4th, Independence Day of 1863, Lee retreated in defeat, and the Federal soldiers won a strategic and an existential victory. So 77 years ago, 87 years is 1776, the founding of the nation. And in 1863, the guarantee of a national refounding. And so Lincoln, with his biblical language, intends to make a portentous and historic point. So listen to the apotheosis of American political literature. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived, so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here.
It is for us, the living, rather, to be here dedicated to the unfinished work, which they who fought here have thus so far nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead have not died in vain. That this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. And that's what Lincoln said.
Now we clear the decks for everybody's favorite, the living flag. Hey, where's our piano maestro? He's over there. He's coming. He's moving fast. Remember, you don't have to play fast. Once you get there, his normal speed's good. Let's all sing Columbia, the Gem of the Ocean. Yeah, I feel just like the pastor in church when I've skipped a hymn, because I'm out of order once again. Now we welcome to the stage Lady Liberty.
I recognize some of you people. Maybe it's your grandparents. Oh, might have been your great-grandparents. Some of you from Scotland, maybe? Or Germany, or England, or Ireland. I definitely remember welcoming you. I need no introduction. I'm the Statue of Liberty, but I'm also called Liberty Enlightening the World. I'm a colossal neoclassical sculpture on Liberty Island in New York Harbor. This copper statue was a gift from the people of France to the people of the United States and was dedicated on October 28, 1886. The statue is a figure of Libertas, a robed Roman liberty goddess. I've always wanted to be a goddess. She holds a torch above her head with her right hand, and in her left hand carries a tablet inscribed July 4th, 1776, in Roman numerals, the date of the U.S. Declaration of Independence. A broken shackle and chain lie at her feet as she walks forward, commemorating the national abolition of slavery. Emma Lazarus was an American poet and author, and she wrote the sonnet, The New Colossus, in 1883. Her poem is inscribed on a bronze plaque installed in 1903 on the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty. This statue and her poem are recognized as universal symbols of freedom and democracy. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here, at our sea-washed sunset gates, shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shores. Send these, the homeless, tempest-torn, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
And now, direct from Kennett, Glendria Johnson singing, and almost direct from an 11-year tour in Zambia. Blair Mobley has returned to us, former head twirler at Kennett High School. He's now returning to the stage for the first time in quite a long time. And so, little Gershwin, can't get any more American than that, on the celebratory tone as they just strike up the band for us.
master take command. The heart will beat to beat of the band. Return, return, and you can't go wrong with a happy song. Hey, leader, strike on. Hey, leader, strike on. The
And let's sing Yankee Doodle Dandy. Hello everybody, can you hear me okay? Yeah. If I didn't have this microphone, I would use my Keith Mitchell voice. Hey boys! Hey kids, how's it going? The reason I bring that up, you'll see people, some of them wearing a little different hat today. It's kind of just to remember our friend Keith Mitchell. And tonight we're going to have a fireworks display out here, and the city puts it on. A lot of people don't know it. Keith paid for that for about the last maybe 10 years. Anyway, people got together and raised the funds, and we're going to pay for that. The community is. But it's to support our community, and I'm glad we're remembering the spirit of Keith. And he was a patriot, and he always thought, we need this, we need to do that. I did this, but I could do more. That was his theory. And enjoy the fireworks tonight. Remember our old friend. If you see somebody with a funny hat on, think of Keith. Thank you. So now someone who needs no introduction, so he won't get one.
I wrote this little song to help my grandson with American history. He wasn't too impressed, but as I wrote it, I regained a little respect for everything that our great nation has accomplished in its relatively short existence. I explained to him how lucky, how blessed we were to be born in the United States of America, because it's the greatest country in the world. The United States of America is the greatest country that has ever existed in this world. Is it perfect? No. We live in an imperfect world. If we're looking for perfection, we should all look in the mirror. We won't find it there either. King George had a problem across the sea. He said, those American colonists, they still belong to me. So he sent the greatest army the world had ever seen, and learned the last word in American is can. Our flag was torn apart by a bloody sword. Brothers fighting brothers in the name of the Lord. But when the fighting ended, wounds began to heal. The last word in American is can. Help me out here. The last word in American is can. The last word in American is can. We have done what couldn't be done time and time again. The last word in American is can. Our friends in Europe found themselves in need. It was up to us to go and take the lead. So we sent the doughboys over there and we showed them how to win. The last word in American is can. Mighty clouds of dust filled our western skies. Millions watched their dreams erode right before their eyes. The Great Depression knocked us down, but we got up again. The last word in American is can. The madman thought that he could rule the world. All across our planet, flags of war unfurled. So the U.S. marched together, and we saved the world again. The last word in American is can.
The last word in American is can. The last word in American is can.
We have done what couldn't be done time and time again. The last word in American is can. Man has gazed at the moon since time began. Marveled at its majesty. What mysteries lie within. But it's our great flag that's planted there, the testament of will. The last word in American is can. Now sometimes we don't see eye to eye. There's too much space between the left and right. But when the need arises, united we will stand. The last word in American is can. One more time. The last word in American is can.
The last word in American is can.
We have done what couldn't be done time and time again. The last word in American is can.
You know what they say about country music, 3 chords and the truth, and I ruined it by putting a 4th chord in every now and then.
You had to.
What are you going to do? So Henry's going to play for us. We're going to sing America the Beautiful. That's right. That ought to be our national anthem. It's so much easier to sing. And so now we're going to welcome to the stage, as we draw near to the end of our festivities, our pastor, the Reverend Margaret Burnett, who could go by Wolfkill, her husband's name, but she chooses to go by Burnett. And that's the only thing I have against her.
You can change it. You like Reverend Wilkins?
If I could be Wolfkill instead of Mobley, it wouldn't take long.
Really close to the mic.
Good evening, everybody. It's good to be here. I thought this morning about freedom, the people who were willing to die so that we would have freedom. And I thought about the fact that that word sometimes we forget about. We take for granted the many ways that we have freedom. So I thought we'd take just a minute before I read a piece of scripture to name some places of freedom. And one for me is that we can stand in a public place in this nation and we can talk about the God we love. We can talk about our faith. We can talk about our nation. And we're not just safe, we're celebrated for it. That's not the case around the world. So I'd like to ask you to just take a second, raise your hand or shout it out. Something about freedom that you are really thankful for. A place you know you're free.
Church.
Church.
Right here.
Right here. The school system.
Voting.
Voting.
America.
America. Amen. I want to read to you a piece of scripture that comes from 1 Peter, the 2nd chapter, one that I think helps us shape not just that we are Americans, but first and foremost that we are God's beloved children, created in God's image. Listen for God's word. Exercise your freedom by serving God, not by breaking the rules. Treat everyone you meet with dignity. Love your spiritual family. Revere God. Respect the government. These are words of our Lord. Thanks be to God. The thing that I hope we can remember that I think we learn from Scripture is that God did not make us free to do whatever we want. And some of you who have been at the church have heard me say this before, but God made us free for serving God's people. And our nation does the same. We aren't free to do whatever we want. We are free for caring for God's people and caring for each other. Free for serving God and God's people. So as we go from this place tonight, as we consider our freedoms, I give thanks for the people who went before us. The many who have fought and died. The many who have been brave and stood and spoken out in places that were dangerous and hard, but people who were willing to take their faith seriously. The framers of the Declaration of Independence often said that they were shaped by the Scripture, by the Bible. So may all that we do as we consider our own freedom in this country, may we be people who are shaped by Scripture in all that we do. Let's pray together. Loving God, we are humbled by the privilege of being born in this nation. We are humbled that you have given us this land to live in with its beauty, with people of so much passion, and with so much freedom. God, we ask that on this 4th of July, as we celebrate what it means to be in the United States of America, what it means to be people who are free, God, we give you thanks. And we ask you to help us be faithful stewards of that freedom, the freedom that you give us, the freedom that our country gives us, that we might be a people who share freedom for all people. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Well, I don't have the voice to lead you, but everybody knows this and you can lead yourselves. Let's finish our celebration by singing God Bless America.
And guide her through the light with the light.
And we'd like to have the lemonade on the porch again, so come up and help yourself. Visit. We're glad you're here. Enjoy the 4th.
To be expected. Let's take
I do. Oh man, it's more than I thought.
Oh goodness. It's like it should. Emily, that fits. She can sing very good. You did so good. I needed this microphone. I was like, she doesn't want to be in the photo. I just like, oh. Ready? We're waiting on Ron. Stand up. Turn the picture the other way.
What about Ron?
He's coming. He got spit up on his shirt.
All right.
Hey, stand up.
Just wait. What about Casey?
Tom, stand up.
1, 2, 3. How about another? Tom, how about
Okay, we gotta do this all over. Actually, just wait.
1, 2, 3.
So, you're a bathroom.
Tom, stand up. And kids too.
Well done, Glendria. You nailed it. World's best cup of coffee.
I want you to stand there out there.
You're gonna stay down there.
Tom, would you not be on the right?
All right, you'll be taller than
The other way.
And again, I say 1, 2, 3.
Horizontal.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Stay satisfied. Stay free. Hey, Alex, you want to be in a picture?
Emily.
Emily, come on.
Emily.
Hi.
Shake
Fix it again, fix it again, fix it again. Did you introduce yourself to
I haven't yet, but I'm very eager to do so.
Martin, you say, screw that. I was like, I know I'm having a play right now. Let's run.
Do it then.
In my head, I was like, run me.
1, 2, 3. Are we waiting on Emily or not? No. 1, 2, 3. One more time. You posers.
I know he went okay.
Well, that was fun, and I'm glad it's over with. Great work, Blair. And the best part is you didn't drop one for Tom to like record. Yeah, I kept thinking Tom will never. Mark what? Why? She lives. Well, she doesn't live here, but this is her family. Oh, good to see you, Yeah. We'll get there. They are. This is Isaac, and this is Hannah. Hannah was Cheryl Crow. Isaac was Mark Twain. Yeah. So, Miss Anita, her grandson, and I graduated high school together. He's getting pretty serious with that one gal, though.
Great job.
She's gonna be a doctor. I mean, you know, it's not a bad gig. A lawyer and a doctor in the same crew. Yeah, please do. Where's somebody was talking to me? Blair was. You. Great work, Isaac. You nailed it. Well, I don't know. We'll figure that out. One more. Good work, Hannah. Good work.
I could tell that you picked out those quotes.
Did you?
Yes.
Those were ones that I would pick out. Those were my favorite ones. I really was excited about the one where it was like, so long as there aren't children around.
Isaac's in Japan, like really
Well, at first I was just going to...
Your mom's always been a little bit worried. And he got 7, so
We got 7, that's right. There was a couple more.
we need to leave.
Where are you going? What? Where? Why? Are you going to New York City?
No, we're going to Las Vegas.
So what? Are you doing? I don't know what the latest on your life is.
There's not much. I am going back.
Because you're a live entertainment guy.
Yeah. Celine Dion has a residency in Las Vegas. That's what she's on right now. But she'll be coming back soon. I'm going to Vegas with some friends this week. And Marianne and Andrea graciously said they would drive me. That driver, I crashed the car. Yeah, I can't drive.
And then you've been in New York long enough.
Yeah, I can't drive. So August 31st is when I'm moving back to New York. So I'll be here for another 2 months.
And things are opening up. Do you have something to do? No?
But I assume my job will come back. If not, then something will be available. It seems like there's plenty of
Like
jobs.
still at the diner? Or?
Yeah, it's still at the diner for right now, and hopefully it comes back. And hopefully it's still as good of money as it was before.
It'll pop.
That's what I think too, but then with all this like Delta variant crap, it's like, it's getting on your nerves. I'm really ready for the test.
Okay. I'm on. It's nice to see you, Margaret. Oh, well, thanks. So you're doing the thing. I'm Ron. Yes. Can't all be the pros and shows. Well, 36. That was gonna. I became a pacifist. Okay, yeah, it's gonna ruin. It's hard to be commander. Yeah, we are. So,
I need some lemon first. Anything else?
really? That bitch cold. It's not Andy Gearhart. what used to be a reserve.
Oh, okay. Well, it's been great, except for the whole thing about AIDS, maybe. No more realize that I don't know that we saw
It's a bizarre world.
But it is, but I've loved it. They're all creating different kinds of ministry for child, non-traditional ways.
So this is, she was my wife, married, but we also went to seminary together.
That's
It's right now, yes, but the youngest is going to go to kindergarten, so I'm stepping into the
Southwest. So it's Farmington, town of about 20,000. It's not a suburb. It's on, still in St. Louis backyard. We average pre-pandemic we were pumping up against 300 a week.
Thank you very much. That's great.
We're about 60 to 70%.
kids that were there.
It's so easy to see how nice it is to sit there and
So I'm trying to peg her accent.
Thank you. What you think?
I'm going Marks, Mississippi. I was going Marks, Mississippi.
That was really good. Well, that's wonderful. I love about that before. Who'd you say, Marks, Mississippi?
Well, she's from Mississippi.
Good friend of mine.
Yes, another friend.
I mean, Henry. You know that I missed. He's only this.
Area, maybe? Probably so.
Yeah.
I don't like these big bucks.
What's that?
I'm his mother. Your head. Oh, okay. Yeah, he belongs to me, so sometimes you know about that. Like, we'll have to go out. I know.
So,
Oh, they are darling, and they are. They practice so much.
You practice with the
Rest of the country.
Really?
well, they went to Kentucky to see her family. They had 5 hours there and 5 hours back. They memorized some
I can only sing those singing songs, so we gotta have some music. They were precious. I really
do this.
So I have a hard time here. I know it's crazy. I'm here Saturday, Sunday night, and then I'm do some work for the wishes for the Christian church here. Yeah, and then I work at two companies, actually, taxation,
Do you hang out with them?
either every day, you run a
When it wasn't been long I wish I had somebody to tell everybody what to do like that.
You know,
We don't have that.
congregationalism is great until you need a bishop, until you need a magisterium to come
somebody
down.
to say, here's the deal.
Yeah, you gotta.
She was really impressed.
That being said, our church was really, they were fantastic.
It's just a couple people.
There was a couple dude, I was like, yeah. I mean, it was so, it's not like it was some real liberal congregation. They just did the thing.
Where in Mississippi you live? I live in Oxford. Oh, in Oxford? They have a place in Oxford. The Mars. They have a place just on the campus because he goes to everything. Oh, yeah. There's a thing. They'll take their names. Goldie and Louise Henry. Yeah. Yeah. She's coming down next week. Yeah. Yeah. We moved to a small Well, I can't really help it. Now you got cake.
Oh, we love it. Yeah. We went to undergrad at Murray State.
Well, I don't know where it came from to begin with, I'll tell you that.
Where did you go?
Oh, did you try? It started someplace, but I'm not sure where.
Did you ever do it at Barbara Brown Taylor?
Like he knows a big
I know.
Yes, and
Well,
she was
I did take a selfie with her.
Did you? Well, let's not notice how many times I use quotes from her.
Oh, I know.
Who is that?
Barbara Brown Taylor.
She was
preached
teaching.
like 2 times a year at least.
I did not, but there were a couple of times.
But she.
Well, she's at small college in Georgia outside of Atlanta. I mean, it's like, why are you? I mean, she could be, and she teaches comparative religion stuff. She just came out with a new book that is kind of holy.
And I did have to. I was very concerned.
What does she call it? Holy something. But it's about her, about finding.
Oh, it's Molly. Did she know? Yeah, leaving church. That was a good one.
And I was doing one of the things I wanted to do, but I was
You don't tell Beretta.
That is the truth.
No, she did.
You did? How'd that go?
The Christmas Eve.
and I get a lot of anxiety. That's one reason I didn't finish everything. And I was talking about
They sometimes say just
Did the kids go in the house?
Well, that's actually.
Yes, Tom was taking them around. That was a lot of fun. I was like, Tom, they did the vlog.
there was somebody here who came and somebody's
They still need to
Oh, and then Libby, I can never.
Why would you need to? That's the thing. You don't want to ask you.
I don't want to find out.
That's right.
Whoa.
Why is he choosing those other than to move this? It might be moved to
I know they're really fortunate. So you preach it every week and then you go away for a little while.
Right, I go Saturdays through Mondays, and then I go and I come back the next Saturday. And I mostly work with It's been it's very different. I was in a huge church in Memphis for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And this is so different. It's just
Okay, we'll see.
it's so wonderful.
Well, it's great to meet you. Welcome to Kennett.
Good job.
Thank you, Margaret.
Yeah, it doesn't look like my hand. My hand's itchy.
What are your plans? Where? My house.
Oh, yeah.
Front yard is spot. The Mobleys are all coming.
Okay.
So there will be other people there, but you are so very welcome. So you're very, very invited.
Okay.
I've already invited the Mobleys.
What's the official address? I'm trying to remember out here.
When I'm up at 16345 County Road 553. It's Tico Road across the bypass. Can I help you? Yeah. So, yeah. Tico Road across the bypass for South right? Horse paddock thingies. You think so? And your mom, whatever. I just was like, Marianne and Josh are probably too off. And so I was like, you should.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's why you're flying on Max.
See you later.
So that would happen. Max. Maybe. Or is anything too nasty?
Yeah. It's been a while. I mean, that smell doesn't. You recognize that smell? I mean, I just walk around.
Tom is giving the kids a tour of his house.
Oh.
Yeah,
really. Hello, my brother. That was great. You had the same smile, the same everything. It was perfect.
Well, again.
Do y'all do twirlers?
No, they were like band, like the flags.
Like ribbon dancers. We joke that she's not. It's any respectable southern town would have major bands. Yeah. That's really nice. Here down to Marks, Mississippi.
But I just love it. High school went there for it. It was like my muscle memory.
Now it's the transition over. You even look impressed with yourself.
Thanks. That's what I like. You know, what else can you do?
Have you started yet?
No, I think I'm going to start the day with the I was talking to Claire about it. I was like, is it too much? And she's like, what is this? Would it be too much? I was like, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like,
There's just is what it is.
like,
It is.
whatever you do.
It's experiment in the absurd.
So, why not?
Why not? Yeah. Well, you know, the boom whackers are all bent up and out of shape.
Like, there's like three.
There's like three. Boom whackers, these two, they
It's
hit on the
mostly me
ground.
and Ronnie Casey down here.
We don't have them. I don't know what's happened to them.
Yeah, there's like a few random ones. So then we played them music like